Hey traders, a very warm welcome to you. So, we're talking about part 2 here about short squeezes. What is a short squeeze? Talked about that on the whiteboard behind. Now, I'm going to talk about how you scan for those in the free scanning tool, finviz.com. Okay, so open up finviz.com. You can subscribe to it for free. I think there's a premium thing as well, but you don't need it for what we're talking about today. Okay. What we're looking for is people who are potentially trapped short and we might have a potential short squeeze on. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to the screener tab here on the top left. We want to click all, and in here we can adjust it and we can look for something called short float or short ratio. So short float or float short, as it says here, is basically telling us the percentage of the shares in issue, or the float shares in issue, that are short. In other words, the higher the number, the more people are short, because people have to declare the short position over a certain size, and so there's a database of that. And when that goes above a certain number, a certain threshold, each exchange is going to report it. So let's say over 30%. Start off with here and we'll see exactly what we've got. We can come down here now, we can select charts and we can see the kind of charts. I've got this squashed up a little bit so that we can see it on here. Hopefully you can see them there. Obviously on a bigger screen you're going to have more across, but so now we've got literally every single stock with a short float of over 30%. Now that's not enough on its own, is it? I mean, you need to now find people who are hurting. That's the point. We've got people who are short, but to find the people who are hurting, we want to see a stock that has gone up quite a lot. Quite a lot of people are in pain, which could potentially cause what we talked about on the whiteboard, that short squeeze. In other words, people are hurting, they've got to come out. You get supply demand changing really to massive demand because shorts are stuck. They might get a stock recall. Longs are seeing it as value. People like you and I are seeing it as a potential short squeeze. It's just that perfect storm scenario. So what are we looking for now? We are looking for companies or stock charts that have a really good uptrend and that have moved quite a lot. You know, a stock like this, no use to us. It's sat in a downtrend or a range should I say. It's pretty pointless from a short trading perspective. Let's have a look. We've got 34% of the float is short, and they're doing okay. No matter where someone went short in that last year, no one's hurting, are they? In fact, 90% of the people who are short on that are doing fine. So we've got no short squeeze trade there. What about this one here? This looks a little bit better. You know, we've gone from a low of 40, so if people are shorting at around 40 or 50, they're down quite a lot. This has got potential for a bit of a short squeeze. Let's have a look, and we look through the short float very, very high for whatever reason. Maybe we do some more research on this. These guys are swing trading opportunities, not day trading opportunities. Okay, we could day trade them if we spotted them and then saw immediate volatility on one day, but generally speaking, a short squeeze is something we're looking for from a swing trading perspective. So this might go in our portfolio. Might say, okay, it's pushed up quite a lot. It's sort of doubled in the past, month or so, or whenever you're looking at the chart. And there's a decent short float on it. Let's double check it. Let's dig in, put it in the watch list, and do a little bit more digging. That's got potential. Maybe we wouldn't go in it straight away now, but if it started really going high, and this is now perhaps where we could look at some news and some fundamentals and see, are they beating earnings? Are they doing well? This kind of stuff, all the fuel to the fire, thinking, hey, if we go back to that a second, how many shares we've got in float? 18 million or so. 60% of those is a lot of shares to cover. If that ends up ripping to the upside. Look at this again, range bound down. This one not too bad, but it's not. No one's really hurting. This is an interesting one because even though it's an uptrend, look. From 12 to 17, it's not huge. It's not a real short squeeze. We can maybe put it on a list and say, hey, it's got potential, but it's not exactly ripping people's faces off, as the lingo says. And none of these are that exciting. 35 to 48, okay. You sort of look around, you're scanning through. So that's exactly what you're trying to do, guys. You're trying to look through and find stuff that is, that's not too bad. It's gone from 20 to 35. Maybe that's got some mileage in it. You're literally scanning through now, eyeballing. Now, I'm sure there's probably something you can put in. In fact, I know there's something you can put in. Let's go through it now. Number one I like to do is eyeball stuff because there's not many charts out there, and I can spend some time looking through them and finding stuff that I think has got good potential to be a short squeeze. But let's say we have a bigger universe. Let's say we were 20%. Okay, that's going to bring up a few hundred stocks, but we want to kind of filter it out a little bit more. So what we can do is we can say, okay, listen, 50-day high or low, let's have a look, and let's say, you know, where are we in terms of the 50-day high? I want to say that we are pretty much near the high, so 5% or more below the high. That's going to be just stocks that are nudging near the high on a 50-day period, or we might want to say, even better actually, not 50-day, let's go for 52-week, because we're looking for longer term stuff. Let's go back to all longer term stuff. We want to say, okay, 52-week high low, 5% or more below the yearly high. That is going to be a little bit better for us, isn't it? Because, you know, obviously it's still going to flag some range stuff, but it's going to stop things that are in the downtrend and the shorts are being rewarded. It's going to at least filter out some things and say, okay, we're pretty near the high. And actually, if you wanted to as well, you can add another filter and say, to eliminate these range things, you could say, listen, I don't want it anywhere near the yearly low, or I don't want it, I want to have it a fair distance away from moving average. Something you can do as well on here is, I believe you can put a distance from moving average. So here you go, 50-day simple moving average, there you go, price, you know, 10% above or 50% above a 50 period. That would really show you a short squeeze. In fact, let's put it in and see what we've got. We might not get any. That's such a big broad thing. Okay, that's a good way of kind of filtering it out. You know, if it's 50 period moving average, if the price is really stretched above it, then maybe we've got a short squeeze on. So we're looking for the people who are has a massive short float on it, or a big short float. We're looking for a market that's trending aggressively to the upside. Now, one caveat before I sign off on you guys is that you know, the short float isn't always as accurate as it could be, and actually you're going to miss some really good trades when, even though there's a short squeeze going on, if you've got a too high short float. So you've kind of got to get everything into perspective and put a mix in that suits you. So a decent short float, maybe you can go a little bit less, you know, float short, but a real more aggressive move. So if it's moved, you know, 300% in a year, and the float short's only 10%, but how many trades does it do a day? Maybe it only does 300,000, 400,000 shares a day, and there's, you know, several tens of millions stock short. That's going to be what's called the days to cover. In other words, if everyone is covering the average amount per day, how many days will it take them to cover? That's a good metric to look at. I don't think you can filter with that on FinViz, but it's all putting into perspective. What's the volume? How many shares are out short? How much has it gone? How much pain in it? What's the sort of pain parameter to it? Taking all that and spotting if there's a potential short squeeze on the horizon. All right, guys, I shall see you in the next video. If you haven't subscribed already, then do so. Take care. Good trading. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.